Christmas may be here, but the carousel keeps spinning. We venture back into the mines for news on this week's episode of the Indie Bar Report podcast. We're back again. The second half of episode 353 is coming to you now. We're going to talk about news because we are no longer in the dark, but rather brought back into the warm light of a snowy East Coast day. Isn't that right, Flu Boy?
I'm feeling great. Recently come back to the land of the living to assess my situation and realize that I still had stocking stuffers to get. And my two main gifts for my wife had notifications saying that they would not be delivered until after Christmas. So I'm feeling super optimistic currently. I hate everything.
What I got from that is soon the divorce will be upon us and we'll be able to record at whatever time works best for me. That's what I just gathered from that.
Probably.
Hell yeah. That's, of course, the flu doesn't kill you first, but you know.
Well, someone will kill me first. We'll find out.
It'll probably be talking private equity. That'll just suck the fight right from you. But luckily, we don't have to talk private equity this week, despite them slowly acquiring more and more teams and draining the lifeblood of the sport. But what we do have to talk about is the coaching carousel, and we'll get started with, I guess, kind of an updated one, because on Thursday, when we were originally going to talk about this, two things hadn't gone final yet, but now they have. So Brett Jody's going to go from Lincoln to Southern Maryland. Stan Clyburn's going to go from Southern Maryland to Chicago. And Lincoln's still holding a bag, although we could possibly complete this little three-way here if Passarella decides to take a job in Lincoln, but we got to wait on that. So thoughts on all of this carousel action here with this little rotating wheel, a carousel, if you would.
It's something I've had a little bit of time to think on because like it's been under the radar, I guess, being discussed. Stan to Chicago is an interesting mix. The reports I'm getting out of this past year in Chicago are as wild as any reports about being in Chicago. It's potentially getting worse there for those involved.
Impossible.
When it comes to dealings with Sean Hunter. When
he's just such an easy guy to get along with.
It will be an interesting mix of personalities to put Stan into that. And I think they're going to have a tough time retaining players from last year. I don't know how. I mean, Stan's guys. If you're one of Stan's guys, I could see you following him to Chicago. But I feel like he's going to have a bit of a roster build in front of him. I don't know. That's an interesting combo right there. And once again, if things are as good as we're told they are in Chicago, why do they continuously have to keep finding new managers? Anyway, despite paying well, by the way, from what we hear.
One of the better paying jobs that's out there.
Brett Joody to Southern Maryland. Brett, I mean, he's had success in the Atlantic League and then absolutely spiraled out in the American Association. So I don't know. The question is, will the lack of roster restrictions help him, or is this increase in talent level going to cause further concern?
I'm kind of on the fence.
And time will tell. We'll see what the first sort of official roster moves look like, and that's going to start to really set the tone. But it's something to keep in mind.
A couple thoughts. I'm going to start with Stan in Chicago because that's where we first started this conversation and then work our way through. I mean, Chicago being a total disaster zone is far from surprising. That getting worse is kind of amazing. Kind of assume they bottomed out.
They have not.
Both surprising and concerning there. I think he'll do fine over there. It's admittedly a bit more difficult to build up something there, and overall finding pitching, which has kind of been his thing, will be tough, but I think he'll be fine. I think you'll see pretty much the same results he was getting in Southern Maryland, in Chicago there. Now, that being said, I think it's going to be kind of a rebuild everything each year, because I don't even think his guys would want to stick around for the disaster zone that Chicago is, if it is in fact as bad as we're being led to believe it is. So there is that. At this point, you kind of know what you're getting with Stan. Is he going to beat the world down? Probably not. Has he had a good career so far? Yes. Is he going to win you the huge one? Probably not. It is the association, though. It's much more of a crapshoot, because apparently being within 5 games of 500 over there will get you into the postseason, and then it's just pretty much having a good 2 weeks, which realistically, any team is capable of having 2 really good weeks. So there is that. Now, as far as Brett in Southern Maryland goes, I think he's going to do better than in Lincoln here. I'm curious to see how this new ownership group does in Southern Maryland, though, and I feel like that's going to be directly tied to the success that Brett has. If he's given the budget and the tools and the resources and the time to actually build up a team and construct a team that fits that ballpark, fits the division, and can actually work, then yeah, I like his odds of doing something of note over there, because he's not a bad manager by any means. Is he a top of the line guy? I don't know. He had a lot of resources in Somerset and never really, well, at least the last few years, I should say, never really like jumped off at the page at you. So I do view that. It's also been a minute since he's been in the Atlantic League as well. So I don't know how many guys he's going to be able to get back to there. Obviously, at Lincoln, there's not too many guys I think could make that jump realistically and find success. So again, it's going to be kind of a build from scratch type of thing. I may be slightly more optimistic about Brett, just because the league's a little bit more appealing. There's less of a roster restriction to deal with. And somehow the organization that allowed a child to die in their property is more intact than Chicago. So I would lean to see more from Brett here. I am honestly, out of all of this, I'm more curious to see who Lincoln grabs here, because there is the Passarella rumor that I was hearing going around here, but we gotta wait to see if that'll actually come to fruition, which would admittedly be funny if they essentially made a 3-team trade when it came to managers.
Right.
But
true musical chairs vibe.
Exactly. I just feel like Matt could do better than Lincoln. Maybe he wants Lincoln, but I always kind of pegged him as like and you may have put the idea in my head, but I always pegged him as a Staten Island type of guy.
Right. But I feel like Staten Island isn't moving quick enough to make, that could be an option, but I feel like Staten Island is, which let's not forget, Staten Island is still managerless.
Yeah. Like they're just sitting in the ether here. They got to find somebody here.
Yeah. What is there even say about that? There continues to be rumors about ownership change. There continues to be rumors about league change there after this season. So there's a lot to unpack when it comes to Staten Island.
I'm just ready for them to announce Bird as their manager, to be quite honest. I have nothing there. I'm just throwing it out there. But I feel like Bert would do it. Again, stay in the same area. I don't know how that would exactly go.
Staten Island runs off local recruiting and cheap recruiting, which is something that Bert has plenty of. Yeah.
And he does have some Atlantic League experience as a bench coach under Jamie.
Yep.
I can
see it.
Yeah. I don't know if, again, I just don't know if that's going to go well for either party in it. And it's the kind of thing where I really want to see wherever Bert pops up next be the place that's going to do well for him, because you have 2 duds in a row, you don't normally get the third.
Yeah. I know Wally Backman was rumored around that. The 2 main manager candidates that I'm seeing that don't have jobs still are the Billies, Billy Horton. But other than that, if you're Staten Island, you might be. Staten Island does, they have a track record of also pulling a random. Before Mark Minikasi, there's like, here's this option.
Here's Homer Bush.
Yeah, here's Homer Bush. We know it would be a good idea to take somebody with a lot of indie ball experience, but here's Homer Bush. Okay.
Yeah, so I just don't know where they're.
Who knows what Staten Island's got cooking?
Yeah, and like even guys that you would think like, oh, maybe from the lower level or a different league, you could grab him and that may work out. Like a Jared Lemieux, you can't do him because he's the next guy on the carousel this week because he just got an extension through 27 with Lake Erie. And that would have been a name that I would have said, you know what? I could see where that would make sense. And he's not a bad choice, especially at this point, the carousel. I just don't know. I don't know where Staten Island's going to go. I know we've kind of transitioned this off of like, hey, look at the guys that actually got hired to the hypothetical. But
yeah,
like everything that already happened here, we were kind of prepared for this for a few weeks now. And on top of that, we more or less know what these guys are. Staten Island's kind of this unknown ether.
Agreed. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to go further into that Staten Island situation. Maybe I will bring it back more to the main topic of the managers. But I guess for Staten Island, it's so tough to get momentum when you constantly are in this weird start and stop. I feel like they've been in since they came into the league. When it comes to, who I do feel like is in a sweet spot right now is probably Brett Jody.
Yeah,
because Brett, it felt like Lincoln wasn't giving their best.
Yeah.
From an ownership perspective, like, maybe when it came to resources. And then now he goes to Southern Maryland. So he gets a chance to sort of re-up his Atlantic League cred where he's had success before. And if you're not successful there, it's like, it's Southern Maryland. It's a situation where it's justifiable that organizations had struggles for a number of years. It's a tough place to win, as evidenced by the fact that they still haven't won a championship there.
Yeah.
It's not a bad gig. And any show of potential there could be enough to lift you either toward your next contract there or for a contract with another team. So kind of a good gig for him. Stan, I'm figuring this could be a retirement tour of sorts with him and his brother in Chicago. So I'm not really thinking long-term on that move, but it is interesting to just track the continued drama of the Chicago Dogs front office, which is a true indie ball hot topic, I guess, as nobody wants to talk about it. The Barry Weisses of the indie ball media world are trying to shoot down those topics left and right.
It is kind of funny with Chicago, though. They keep finding new ways to hit the floorboards.
Good for them. But Sports Business Journal still says they're fantastic. So great place to work.
Great content machine. I mean, journalist organization. Wonder how they're funded. Real mystery where the funding comes from.
Real mystery.
Wonder if our check cleared yet.
What else do we have on the news front here?
Last carousel bit, which actually got mentioned on the show with our interview this past week with Ben. We have Simon Walters back and Chris Widger back in Sussex County. I feel pretty good about it. Simon's fine as a third base coach, and he's also a pretty decent recruiter. And Chris has honestly really taken to indie ball fairly well here. I mean, all things considered with the Sussex County organization, he's pretty much just kept the thing rolling since he got there. I mean, 2 playoff appearances, 1 miss, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, he's kind of hopped right in it, and he's given them the results that they've needed. I mean, they had that, where they been in 2024, but it's sort of, I don't know what was going on there. It's hard to kind of assess what that season was. Yeah. But it does seem like the type of thing where they can, was it 2? Yeah, it was 2. You're right. Where I guess they competed, they made the most of their division. I think we both agreed that they probably could have done better against their division this year.
Yeah.
They definitely got the good draw when it came to how the divisions were split up for the new format, but they handled business when they had to handle business and got there and got the playoff spot. And, I've said it before, it's just sort of crapshoot from there, but hey, yeah, I think being able, I was a little surprised that there wasn't an official announcement about that sooner. Sometimes that means, was he going to come back or not? Sometimes it just means because there was he was of course going to come back, that it wasn't a priority to announce it. So I'm not sure which one it was. Probably would have been great to ask Vin, but here we are.
Yeah.
And I think it's good for Sussex.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's a good hire again. And yet another name that's off the board for a potential swipe from anyone that's still out in the open as far as their position goes. So that does it for the carousel. Really only other piece of major news to talk about would be the Pioneer League schedule that got announced last week. They released the schedule, 96 games, going to start on May the 19th. Modesto, Long Beach, and Travel Team all included on here. Season's going to end on September the 6th. No word on any sort of playoff or divisional change, but I have to imagine they're going to do something with the divisions.
Yeah, I've had a chance to run the numbers on what exactly the schedule looks like, but you got to figure. It looks like the one division will probably be Billings, Boise, Glacier, Great Falls, Idaho Falls, Long Beach.
Long Beach is the odd one. Yeah,
no, they can't be right because they have them split in this one thing on the website, but it's obviously just in alphabetical order. So I don't know. What do we figure it to be? It'd probably be California's and the Travel Team. So Yuba, Oakland, Long Beach, Travel Team. And I guess it would probably be Ogden and then one of the Idahos.
Sounds right.
Oh, no, and Modesto. My bad. Oakland, Modesto, Yuba, 3. Long Beach, 4. And then Travel Team, 5. And then presumably a team like Ogden. So totally normal way to go about things from the Pioneer League. I like that immediately when I was like, I don't know if the Travel Team's done. The Pioneer League put out their schedule. I was like, okay.
Well, see, here's the thing I don't understand is why not just make Long Beach wait a year and then not have to fund a travel team?
It makes so much more sense. I don't see how this is going to be a profitable decision from them, but okay. I feel like they got it in over the head. They still haven't announced a stadium deal for Long Beach, right?
No, they're going to play at the Long Beach State.
The dirtbag spot?
Yeah, that's what they're going to be playing. They haven't announced a name yet, but they announced the stadium and Percival is the manager there, which again feels like just wait a year and try to get something else that's like a travel partner. The footprint sucks. Rushing.
It feels like they couldn't say no to the buy-in.
Oh, well, that's a sign of a healthy league right there.
I know, but it's like also the league is going to cost you like at least $250,000 to do this travel team, in my opinion. So I don't know. It's not great.
It feels like a decent chunk of the expansion fee you got from Long Beach is just going to go to funding this travel team.
Right, exactly. Almost like you should just kept it as the 10 teams. But I don't know. Whatever. Sure. I don't even know what to make of it anymore. I don't want to keep harping on it. It's just that it's frustrating. It seems like, and there are certain leagues, honestly, the American Association is one of them, where I get, if something happens where I don't see it.
Yeah.
Then, but I'm like, but I'm open to, I'm not running a league. I don't see the books. I don't see the logistics. So I'm open to, I'm missing the vision here. The Pioneer League has no longer earned that. They had it at one point, by the way, in my mind. But at this point, bro.
They burned through all the trust and goodwill.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
I just
now
don't feel optimistic at this point about anything that league does, really, until proven otherwise.
I mean, I can't really say you're wrong here. I mean, they don't really inspire any confidence whatsoever in any of their actions. So, I mean, you more or less hope for the best and go from there. But, I mean, as far as the actual scheduling itself goes, I would have thought that they could have changed up the dates on if they really wanted to. They could have started a little bit earlier, I think, because you got rid of a lot of cold weather in Colorado. Yeah. And really, you only have about 4 teams that are really north of that would be a problem for it. You could have started more like May 12th or so, May 7th, even like that range.
A week earlier. You're probably right.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking so that way you can start your postseason in September to get that done. I'd be more afraid of the cold weather to end the year than to start the year, personally.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, they got, so what, September 6th is their end date for the regular season? Yep. I don't know. I worry about what the Pioneer League's doing. I've talked about that a lot on this podcast. I feel like there's just a lack of direction. I think there's a general direction, but I don't know if it's a planned direction, and that general direction is California, which might be the right move in the big picture, but without it being like the defined, yes, go, 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 this is what we're doing, the crawl that way has been, I think, something that's really stretching the league thin to a point where I'm not sure this is going to be able to hold together once it's time to start really leaning into this. So I worry about it. And I think this schedule even shows, and like almost like the half committal one way or another here. This feels like a half measure, really. And that's what it is. They didn't go conservative, which is one way to do it. Conservative would have been 10 teams, hold Long Beach for a year, and no travel team. They didn't go all out, which is just find a 12th market. They did this weird half in, half out, which is Long Beach, yes, and also travel team, which is not a good look, and also not a great way to introduce yourself to these markets. I mean, I hear from people all the time that go to indie ball games, and like I hear about ones from like the Road Warriors days in the Atlantic League or the Empire State Grays days in the Frontier, and they would show up and be like, if you're not overly acquainted with indie ball, or if you are, but you're not really following the league closely, you just go to games here and there, and you see this travel team and they're trash, and it's like, wait, what is this? Why am I supposed to be invested in this when this is hardly a league? This is hardly worth my money. Like the quality of play isn't keeping up.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, it's looking a lot like men's league, which is a stereotype you got to fight to beat. So it's an issue. But the Pioneer League as a whole is an issue. So
yes. I have one more thought, by the way, before we end this.
Okay.
With the Chiefs moving to Kansas, right?
Yeah.
And I think that makes it more likely the Royals might follow suit, or it could make it less likely. I'm not overly in on this conversation. It could be like now that one made the move, Missouri's going to really fight to make sure the Royals stay. I don't know. But
yeah,
what would that do to the Monarchs?
That's what I was wondering too. Yeah. Because their whole thing was KCK. Like, and it's not like you just up and move to Missouri because like you need a ballpark there. Although admittedly it could be kind of funny if they just went to like an altered Kaufman or something.
Yeah. I think that's something to watch. I don't know if I have anything, groundbreaking to say about it other than I think it's something to watch. It is fascinating.
Because I could see it being completely irrelevant where it's just like, look, we're not really competing against them. It is what it is. We're so family friendly, affordable. We've made our inroads, even though we've rebranded several times. I could see that being the angle on it. I could also equally see everyone going, well, it's not exactly like Royal Games are overly expensive as is. We might as well just go to that. We'll have a good time. It'll be great for everybody. And the Monarchs just kind of wither on the side.
Well, because here's the thing, too. The Chiefs are going like right where the Monarchs are, which could be good for them, by the way. However, I'm really, but that's actually kind of good for NASCAR too. The visibility of a NASCAR track right next to an NFL stadium, but different conversation. They already have a stadium district because they have an MLS team right there. Also, they have a speedway. They have the Monarchs. They have the football team. It makes sense for the Royals to drop into that general area. There seems to be plenty of room to build there, but I could be ignorant to the situation. But I mean, the Monarchs simply couldn't be there if the Royals went to do that. Frankly, I think if the Royals even came to Kansas side, I think they're going to struggle. I don't know. I think that might look. We've heard rumors that maybe business isn't as booming as you might think in Monarchs land. I don't know how verifiable it is. I haven't looked too deep, but right now they're a healthy 30-minute drive away from the Monarchs. From the Royals, even if the Royals dropped in to the heart of Kansas City, Kansas, right on the river, that's now just 15 minutes away from you. That is a big difference. And I mean, you'd be neighbors if they went to what is becoming a stadium district right now. So it's something to watch for sure. It's a fascinating little something going on here that I think would have some impact on our friends, the American Association.
Which then is that make you wonder about how you align your league then if you are the American Association, if you feel like Kansas City could be at all in jeopardy. Because now you really lost like the one connecting block you have between Cleveland and everybody else. And now you're essentially an upper Midwest league. So do you say we could spread to the west, we could spread to the east? Do you abandon more of the southern plan? Like how do you attract from there?
Yeah, and you kind of wonder, maybe is that part of like the rumor that was discussed last week of, Colorado Springs potentially being in the picture.
I mean, I'll put it like this. I still don't like Colorado Springs as a market, period.
Yeah.
I just don't. AAA worked there, and then as soon as it wasn't AAA, it kind of went to hell. And now I think it's just, you torch this market a lot. I think it's got to sit and cool off before you attempt it again. And even then, you got to make sure you have the right pieces in place and the right strategy and all. I just don't think it's a healthy environment for anyone to really attempt right now, unless you are, extremely confident or extremely desperate.
Yeah. No, I think that's a fair way to look at it. Huh. Yeah. And I didn't have much to add necessarily to that exact conversation. I was just curious if you had any thoughts or if that crossed your mind at all watching that news. It tells you how sicko and U-ball coded I am. My first thought was like, what does this do to the Monarchs? How does this affect LeBron's legacy?
Admittedly, that was kind of along the same train I had. I was like, oh, that's cool. They're moving? Kansas City? Huh.
Right.
Monarchs got competition. But
yeah. So something to watch. That's all.
Yep. Quickly, any thoughts on James Nelson being the Baseball America Player of the Year?
That feels fine. I don't really overly assess the Baseball America Player of the Year for indie ball. I like Baseball America. I don't know if they have the best feel for indie ball, but it feels fine. Fair. Not egregious.
Yeah, I kind of got the sense of like they pretty much take the best player between the American Association and Atlantic League, and then like whoever had the gaudier stat line, they win. But yeah, I
it feels like it's whoever. Yeah, I'm with you there. It feels like it does have something to do a lot of time with home run rate.
Yeah, I mean, 30 home runs and 55 bags, or 53 bags rather. That's
pretty crazy.
Yeah, I feel like we didn't talk about that enough because he was on Charleston. They just were not that good this year.
So, all year. Yeah.
So I just kind of like slid underneath it.
Sorry,
Mike Trout with the we're just like, he's doing crazy
absurd numbers. That's it. And the interesting thing is the 53 steals. I mean, he stole 34 in New Jersey a couple years ago, but like he hasn't been a base stealing guy. Like he's never, before that, he never stole over 20. So no.
Interesting there. Well, that's pretty much all we got. This was just quickly supposed to hit the news, and really it was supposed to be just part of the other show until power went out on me. So, man, I'm terrible when that happens. So I guess we'll quickly plug things. We'll get out of here, and then this will go up hopefully on Christmas Eve. So you guys will have something to hold you over until the Q&A comes out on Saturday.
Yes.
So, guys, the last second call for questions. If you've got them, send them in. You might as well. Why not? At Indie Ball Pod, Indie Ball Report, everywhere else. DMs are open for pretty much anything, so send them there.
Yeah, Indie Ball Nation, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, podcast platforms. I'm posting more frequently than I have, so haha. How about that?
Proud of you.
Anyway, happy Festivus.
I prefer to think of it as Christmas Eve. But,
disgusting.
Well, you'll have to remain disgusted. And until next time, don't forget to play ball.